Jeff
Hey,
joins us.
Can I hop in on some of that talk about Benjamin Kindle?
Yes, please do.
A good news story for the Western Hockey League right now.
Yep.
Michigan thought they were going to get him.
Oh, really?
If he wasn't going to sign with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Brandon Naruto, Michigan, the Wolverines were all over Benjamin Kindle. Now we all have our eyes on Porter Martone. Whether the Philadelphia Flyers sign him or whether he ends up going to school. Michigan State just lost Isaac Howard. Could there be Porter Martone replacement? A whole bunch of new wrinkles. New wrinkles in this dynamic now.
Entirely new universe.
Calgary got him. Calgary got him back.
That's right.
Benjamin Kindle's also extremely smart.
He's sharp cook. Yeah,
Calgary was like the Scholastic Team of the Year for us. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Now, now I'm an old buddy of Paul McFarland. I've known Farley for forever. Back when he was coaching with Oshawa, we work out at the same gym together. His younger brother Johnny and I are buddies. He helped train my kids. But did you test him academically as well?
We should have. I'm going to ask for his transcript next.
He's actually a smart guy. I
believe that.
He used his education package. I should point that out.
He's pretty well traveled. He was on a Toronto bench and like a very up and coming coaching. And now I feel like this is if you're a big, strong Canadian Hockey League brand like the Calgary Hitmen, this is a good spot to incubate, have some success, and who knows where he 100%. Goes next. But he was one of those young coaches, he's going to get a gig soon, and I think that's still the case. But they got him locked down for the Hitmen right now, which is good.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of good recruiting in the States too. Even Aiden Park, the kid who
just came from the USHL,
had a cup of coffee there in the playoffs in Calgary.
Yeah. Jeff, how's the summer been? Obviously, this is the maiden voyage for the sheet, but now we're into July, and you got free agency's chaos, and the draft is a ton. But now we're into we really got to talk about Isaac Howard season.
We really must, and he'd like to be referred to as Ike. Thank you very much.
Oh, really?
That's as we understand it. He'd like to be referred to as Ike Howard, but
I believe he wants to be called Ike District, and it's not the Ike, just Ike District.
The Ike District is what they call outside the arena there now. What I love about this, and I'm being legitimate about it. I always hated not being able to do something in the summer. Because I would always have to scram, right? Okay, everyone takes the summer off, everybody goes. Back when I used to do local radio in Toronto, I used to keep my hockey show going all summer. Like the idea of stopping, we're all Canadians. We all talk about hockey 24/7 every week, every month, every year. Yeah. It never really stops. And so I'm going to keep it hot for, I think 2 or 3 times a week in July, maybe trail it down to 2, maybe 1 the odd week, depending on the nature of the news in August. But I'm keeping the feed hot, baby. I'm keeping the feed hot.
What interested you about or intrigued you about the draft and or free agency? I feel like when we looked back a year ago, we're like, wow, Crosby free agent, Rantanen free agent, Draisaitl free agent. Look at all these. This is going to be unbelievable. Wow. And then it's like, no, the biggest guy was Nikolai Ehlers, who's a good player, but it was
This one, I mean, we always do this, right? Now we're going to spend a year wondering about McDavid and Kaprizov and Jack Eichel. Okay, so we got Connor McDavid's going to go to the New York Rangers, and Jack Eichel's going back. He's going to Boston. He's going home, baby. And and Kaprizov, all the Russians end up in New York. He's going to be a Ranger. And oh my God, let's just all calm down. Free agency was, I don't know, mid.
Yeah, it was
really.
mid.
I mean, Marek got traded to the Vegas Golden Knights. That was a big name off the board. Nikolai Ehlers took a little bit longer than we thought. It came down to 2 teams. It very much felt like, he wanted 7 years, and the 2 teams that it came down to, Washington and Carolina, it sounds like Washington was only prepared to go 5. And because Carolina went 6, that he ended up going to the Carolina Hurricanes. But really there's been nothing sort of by way of major excitement so far. And I'll tell you, and I know I can hear people's eyes glazing over when I say CBA, but to me, the big story is how much of a non-story the CBA is.
Yeah. It's an entirely different universe with the players' representation now.
Completely true. I mean, I remember I was doing a daily show in 04-05 covering that lockout. everything you always wanted to know about retirement pensions. And I would play an amateur actuary on television in 2012 when we went through that one as well. Like I know anything about pensions. Well,
I always felt for the
all my years
reporters.
as an actuary. What's that?
I always felt for the beat reporters. They're like literally standing outside a tower in New York for like 6 hours, and then like nothing's happening. We're not talking all day, just standing.
We did it live at Sportsnet. I remember being on. It was it was a Saturday morning, and my shift started at 6 a.m. and they had spoken all through the night. Mm-hmm. And I was the only one on the panel. I think Doug McLean had gone home, Brad May had gone home, and it was just me on the panel. I don't know, like the only people that I'm broadcasting to at that point are people that have fallen asleep with the TV on. Like no one's actually watching at this point. And we have like one bit of B-roll that's like 30 seconds of Bill Daly crossing the street in Manhattan that we just have on a loop.
Oh, look at him. Yeah.
Sorry, that reminds me of covering court. That the one walking 100%. B-roll shot. Like
and my producer keeps hitting the key, and all he keeps saying is keep talking.
Yep.
Keep talking.
The worst word in broadcasting, Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
And then he's like, all right, well, let's get out the telestrate. Let's get Howie Meeker in here now. Look at this. He sees the curb coming and really nice hip flexor activation. He gets the leg up and it's a smooth transition into the taxi. But
if that happened now, you would have like all of the armchair body language experts on TikTok. Like this is what we know, judging by how Bill Daly.
Well, hang on. It looks like his briefcase is a little more full than when he first went and talked to the Players Association. Does that mean we're close to having a deal? Is he taking this back to his?
Is that a memorandum of understanding in there? Is that what that is, Jeff? What are the big takeaways from the CBA? Because you're right. It used to be war, and it used to be incredibly painful, and hockey fans rightfully have been very angry at the league for costing them a season and a half over the last quarter century, and rightfully so. But it's very different now with the PA head and Gary feeling more like partners than meeting in the trenches to like fight to the death.
I'll tell you what, I that loss of a season and the loss of a half season back in 2012 too, I think sent a major fear into the Players Association because I don't see wins here for the players. I really don't. Like you're gonna have to like really point out where the win. Like there are wins for the owners that I see disguised as wins for the players, i.e., they're going to the Olympics. We're looking at that and we're saying, "Oh, look at that win for the players because they want to go."
Want to do that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. The players want to do it. You don't think the NHL wants to put their logo next to the Olympics? You don't think they want their athletes? Like, I think the Olympic thing has been totally misrepresented here, and the NHL has positioned this brilliantly as something the players want, and the owners will give to them grudgingly. You don't think they want their logo next to the IOC and the 5 rings? Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
how many players actually get to take part?
Yeah, it's true. Players want it, and you're literally talking about less than 100 players.
Yeah. Like I don't know. And the other thing that I keep coming back to here on this one is one. There's obviously, again, for me, tiny little wins for the players, a little bit more playoff revenue, and really outside of that, I'm not seeing any wins. And this is all needs to be looked under the umbrella of expansion.
Yeah.
So there's going to be minimum 2 more teams at $2 billion a crack.
Whew.
Okay, so we're talking about $4 billion out there. And the players will see exactly none of it. And and even if they weren't going to, and even if right away the owners said, no, it's a hill that we're going to die on, I would understand that. And if I'm the NHL, I don't want to give up a nickel of that either. And I would say the same things. Oh, we're giving you new jobs, new expansion teams. That means new jobs. But at the same time, there's 4B sitting there and you're not going to fight for it. To me, one of the big stories is, why is the deal done now this early in July? Where are the pressure points? There is no pressure point to do a deal right now. If you're the Players Association and you see $4 billion potentially sitting there, why not drag this thing out? You have no reason, because now with a signed document called the CBA, Gary Bettman can take that to whomever in Atlanta or in Houston and say, it's $2 billion because we have labor peace. The PA just surrendered that. Just handed it right over without a fight. I mean, this negotiation went from like April until last week. This one was quick. because it didn't look like there were going to be fights over anything. Again, it's wonderful for fans. Let me position this properly. This is great for fans. I just don't know that if I am the Players Association, I want to put this one on a resume because I don't know where the wins are here. I really don't.
How do you feel about 84 games? I think the quality of hockey would be better if they shrunk, but didn't expand the schedule. But leagues don't do that because home games are revenue. NFL is adding, like everyone's adding games. So I understand why they want it, but
it can be positioned as, it's good for both sides because it's more hockey related revenue. So from that point of view, I mean, listen, the minute they signed off on linkage, the minute they signed off on salary linkage in the CBA negotiation, however many years ago that was, the idea of shrinking the schedule went out the door because that takes money out of the players' pockets and owners aren't going to go for it either. So as much as I may bark and moan about 72 games or 76 games, I know it's never going to happen. I'm with you though. I think one of the things that we're going to see now, because now we're also getting a robust international schedule, Olympics, World Cup, etc. You're demanding a lot from your top players.
We're seeing this in soccer. The schedule becomes way too busy, and these contrived tournaments, or the ones that we really care about, and the ones that fall in the middle, and then they're probably going to expand the playoffs. Now it's 84 games. It's an Olympic year, and we're holding this camp here. It's like, they are it's like a player in their draft year with the World Juniors and the UAT. Like it's
like a Gretzky.
Okay.
All of it,
yeah. So okay. I want to see both of your reactions. Can we both get one shots right to camera? Right to camera, both of you. Cami, let's go right to camera. Where'd you go, Pinder? Pinder, right to camera. When I say this term, I want to see your reaction.
Okay.
Load management there it is.
I'm sorry. It's so expensive. Can you imagine, like, if you don't live in a city, like if you live in Regina, it's like, I'm going to drive to Calgary.
Yeah. So my one trip a year.
Drop like $200 per person on a ticket, family of 4. That's probably like an okay seat.
Yeah.
And then like, to watch the backups, but
it's cringy. I understand the sports science behind it.
Another couple of games plus World Cup plus Olympic.
We're already seeing it a bit, but not to the level of what we see in the NBA, where it's just scheduled off days. Now it's like, if you're dinged up, we'll give you some time. And Florida and Edmonton didn't care whether they were going to win the division or be 3 seeds or wild cards or home ice and 2 seeds. Like, we're just getting in, and then we want everyone to be ready. Like, do what we need to do to make sure everyone's ready on April 19th. That's when the playoffs start. So there's load management in that sense, but not the like, hey, Kawhi, every third game you're out. Like that. And to Cami's point, it sucks so much if you are a fan and you're spending huge money to go to these events. It's like, Sidney Crosby's out tonight, maintenance.
Yeah. I'm going to start doing that if I can't go to work. I'm like, I'm not sick anymore. I'm load management now.
We're load managing this summer. We're doing 2 shows a week, Jeff. That's us.
I hear you. So I just put it out into our Nation Network universe. I think it'll be folly to think that it's not coming. Look, 82 games is hard. You look at what these guys look like by the time the playoffs start. Like, it is hard. It's a tough season. And then you go, like the Florida Panthers have gone deep 3 years in a row and won it twice. You can imagine what they're feeling like. There'll be guys starting on LTIR after having surgery, etc. Like, this is going to be the new reality. And this is what happens when you stretch out your season. I've always said, guys, like, if I could change one thing in the NHL, like if I could suggest one thing to Gary Bettman every single year, it's the same thing. Get your game out of June.
Yeah. 100%.
Get your game out of June. Yeah. Let that be for the draft and free agency and awards and all those things.
Start September. Sure.
Yeah. Don't compete with patios.
When you have the truncated preseason, what does that do for bubble players or the young guys who are trying to make teams having less of a...
They already have the rookie camps. I don't buy that. I mean, I understand the thought, but I'm just like, no, there's too many.
Aren't teams though really made up? Well, what's the last day of arbitration, guys? August 15th.
Okay,
at the last day of ARB. Like, by the time arbitration's done, teams are made up. There's maybe one
couple of roster spots. Yeah. Like, who's going to be our 4th line center? Who's their 7-8 defenseman? One guy goes to the A. Yeah. There might be a battle for a backup. Is it Prosvetov or is it Cooley and Cal? Like, it's the fringes of the roster.
Right. That's what we're talking about.
Fraser Minton a couple of years ago with Toronto.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's as far as like teams always say the right thing. Oh, no one's guaranteed us, but no, the CBA and the contracts have dictated.
There's some one-way deals.
It's funny. I was talking to Anton Thun yesterday. He's a retired agent. He's a veteran of the CBA wars, and he's looking at how, you know, the system now for players has become even more restricted by way of, you know, bonuses and et cetera, and how much you can have in bonuses and how they can be structured and everything. He said, what you're getting to is like contracts going to be done by ChatGPT.
Yes,
do we really need agents anymore?
Well, honestly, like you look at
contracts,
some of the hockey projections on contracts, like they're all bang on. Like I think it's Evolving Hockey does it, and the guys out of Minnesota, if I'm correct.
Yes,
and they have a spreadsheet every year, and they're like, just by plugging in data, here's what we guess the contract will be for said player. And 7-8 times out of 10, it's bang on. Like it's you're literally saying, okay, we think the team's going to ask for 3.5. We're going to ask for 4.25. We'll settle at 3.8. Like it's just okay. We do the charade and meet in the middle. Yeah, it's done. Like And to your point, you can only do bonuses if you're over 35 or entry level. You can't add them for most.
Structure is getting even more restrictive too, and teams owning players' rights for 4 years and don't have to sign them to a contract. Like, again, like I'll come back to the point that I made at the beginning of our conversation. Where are the wins for the players here?
Yeah, they're going to change term length, max term length. I don't know whether to view that as a win for the players or owners, because from the owner's perspective, it's like, okay, you're not going to get yourself into these gross, you know, wish we could buy this out, this nightmare won't go away, bad contracts. But the thing that the players have done that I think is pretty silly is they've all been very keen to max out term. And then by the time their deal's up, what might have been a high percentage of the cap isn't anymore. And so maybe forcing them back into the market more often could be a win for the players.
I guess if you look at it, you could look at it that way very much. Hockey players generally want security. That is changing. That is, I should say like that. The caveat is it is Matthews is the one. So we'll I mean, listen, Connor McDavid is also represented by Judd Moldaver at Wasserman, and same as Austin Matthews. If they follow the same model, we all suspect that he will. I'll tell you the one thing that and again, I've been banging on this drum for a while, and I know it's not going to go anywhere. But as much as we sort of, you know, bemoan the idea of, you know, players and all the no trade clauses that are out there and no move clauses that are out there, and how tough it is come trade deadline time to move players, how difficult it is to be able to make your team better. We know with the cap, of course, it's money in, money out on a lot of these deals. One of the things that I've always believed is that, and I know that it probably goes nowhere because we're talking about money outside the system. But one of the things that I've always believed is when you ask a player to waive his no trade clause, what you're proposing is this: give me something in exchange for nothing.
Right.
That's not business. That's charity. That's do me a solid so I can get what I want. What you get is the inconvenience of moving away from your family and your friends into a new city and so be gone. But we get a chance to make our team better here. How would you guys feel if they created a mechanism whereby if you asked a player to waive his no trade or no move clause, he gets $1 million?
Rhett proposed this last couple of weeks.
$500,000
hammering on it. And I'm like, yeah, cool idea. So the next CBA will be up in 5 years. We'll talk about it then. Like it's done.
But that's it.
But the idea I like.
But again, like for a player's win, like I don't know if it did come up in these negotiations, but as I look for any kind of player wins in this CBA, to me that would be one. Like, okay, you know what? You're asking me to do something for you. That's fine. This is a business, and what I get in exchange for helping you out by waiving a clause in my contract that we both negotiated, both sides in good faith, I'm going to get $1 million. That to me, and I don't like the word fair, but I'll use it. That to me seems fair.
So this ties in nicely to the Rasmus Andersson conversation, because the situation you're describing is exactly the one that Rasmus and his camp are in with the Calgary Flames. The Flames would like to get a great return for Rasmus. Rasmus, I think, has one shot at free agency in his whole career, or at least one last chance at a big contract. His next deal will likely carry him into his late 30s and the end of his career. He's been on an undermarket deal for most of his career. He's been a very good Calgary Flame. He likes the city, but it's clearly time that the team goes one way and the player goes the other because he doesn't really match their window. They're going to be young and trying to be competitive in a couple of years. And Rasmus is quite good very now, about to get more expensive, and then will decline into his late 30s like all players do because Father Time's undefeated. Like, how do you see this one playing out? I understand Calgary wanting to get more, but too many people are mad at Rasmus in my mind, including Red, a former player, where I'm like, he literally negotiated the right to have a no trade. He's allowed to use it. And you're like, hey, extend here. It's like, I got a year left. Like, I'm not really thinking about where I'm playing after that, or like, maybe I would, but like, I'm not committing to that.
Yeah. It's funny. Kelly Rudy would always say he thinks that it should be against, again, there should be a clause in the CBA prohibiting teams from asking players to waive their no trade. Because it was negotiated in good faith, and for the other reasons that I just sort of laid out. This is the proposition of give me something in exchange for nothing. I have no problem with players refusing to waive their no trade.
Yeah,
those are great. Those were all granted, and those were all negotiated and given in good faith. And again, I'll come back to the same thing. I hate to repeat myself on your show, but here I go. Give me something in exchange for nothing is not a legitimate offer, and that's what waive your no trade so we can send you where we want is. I have no problem.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. I think maybe the only case you could make, and it's not really the same with Rasmus, but like Mitch Marner would be an example. It's like Leafs are like, hey, we'd love to do a deal. He's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, I got the full no move. I'm not moving anywhere. And I'm going free agency. Now, at least they ended up, he gets an extra year. He gets the 8th year from Vegas on the $12 million. The Leafs then get an asset. So that's a bit of give and take. But what the Flames are asking Rasmus to do from, at least what we're picking up in the hockey Twitter sphere is they're saying, hey, like, would you extend places? Like, that's him doing them a favor. And it's like, he's been making not enough money for all of his last deal. Yeah. And he doesn't need to choose where he's going to play in his 30-year-old season and beyond yet. It's his right to wait.
I think that, like, listen, if it's not exactly a secret that the Dallas Stars have wanted to get Rasmus Andersson for a while. If Jim Mill wants to approach Craig Conroy about it, and if he's willing to extend, put that offer forward, like, hey, this is what we have with Dallas, but they'll only do the deal if this contract comes along with it, and Raz is amenable to it, sure. But if he's not, why? I think all players. I've always felt this way. I'm not sure how you guys are on this one. I've always felt that players should do a number of different things, and one of them is, I mean, if I were a player, I would want this just to know for the rest of my life, just to see what you're worth on the open market. And Rasmus is right there and is close to having earned that right. And I know that there's a lot of agents, and Darren Ferris, you just mentioned Mitch Marner and Sam Bennett's agent there a couple of seconds ago. Darren Ferris is always a strong proponent of walk to free agency, see what's out there. Doesn't mean you can't go back. Look at Brock Besser. Yeah. Different agent, albeit, but I think that players have the right, and it's probably a smart thing that when you're at, some of the height of your powers, you go out there and test what you're like at the open market. That's the way this whole system has been set up. They have your rights. The team has your rights for a certain amount of time, and then those rights expire, and then you can go shopping. And I'll tell you what, the way that Isaac Howard just did it with the Tampa Bay Lightning, I wonder if we start to see more players doing it this way, specifically now that in the CBA, you hold a player's rights until, if they're drafted 18 for 4 years, until they're 22 years old. So you do you threaten with going back for the senior year, and then essentially you can pick where you want to go. Like, make no mistake about it. Isaac Howard said, I want to go to Edmonton.
It was
if
I don't
go
fit.
To Edmonton, I can go to my senior year at Michigan State, and then I will pick after a year, and you will get nothing.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's about the 8 Aldos or the little dolphins in the swimming. It's not about them all. Like, it's a chance to play in a top 6 with a superstar.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of opportunities like that around the league for a guy to go straight from college next to one of the best 5 players in the world. He's got that opportunity there. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's a fascinating one because he's gonna walk in there. He's gonna be given a lot of chances to succeed. Like, Howard's got like a ridiculous release of a shot. Like, he's got and offensively, he's great. He goes to the net for tips mainly, but he will go to the front of the net. The puck is on his stick, and then the puck is off of his stick, and he's ready to play in the NHL now. And he's maneuvered himself into a position here where he could play next to the best player in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like as far as stick handling your career, Isaac Howard's done a really good job here.
Yeah,
this is kind of remarkable.
We don't need to get into it, but something went sideways as soon as the season was over when he and Tampa were talking. You're like, oh, okay, you don't usually see a player or a prospect of that caliber.
I don't think he saw a path. I don't think he saw a path with Tampa. And you look at, at Tampa, going out and grabbing Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand, and he's saying to himself, like, look, I'm right here to play pro hockey. I'm right there. And now I've got all these players blocking me. How long does this mean I'm going to be in the American Hockey League? And he got himself in a position with the idea of him going for his senior year to position himself to playing with the Oilers.
It's funny about that, like
nice
the note.
Bit of business.
Yeah, it's funny, like the collegiate rights and no move clauses. It just makes me think of the Rangers, like the best and worst of it on both ends with Jimmy Vesey and how you see things, pan out with Boudreaux, with Trouba, how ugly it can all get.
Yeah,
it can.
Well, see, that's a fascinating one, prospect for prospect. Oh, we've taken too much of your time. Thank you. We'll be on Matthew Tkachuk's Stampede Watch. Jack, have you seen anything on socials? I think he might be tired. He might need a breather after flooring it for like 2 weeks. Like maybe just take 1 year off Stampede, Matthew.
Do we have a pot of black coffee for him yet? Has he sobered up since the celebration?
I don't know
I don't know that we've ever seen a team part. Yeah. We thought that we saw it with Ovechkin and the Caps. I don't know that I've ever seen a team party like this with the Stanley Cup, and that includes like the Phil Esposito, Bobby Orr Bruins.
How about the Mark 70s. Messier left the cup at a strip club Rangers? There was some teams that floored it, but these guys put on a masterclass this year.
They really did. No. That's a very fair point. The cup may or may not have ended up at the bottom of, I think it was Glenn Anderson's pool. So yeah, you know what? Yeah. You may have a good point. That, you know what? As far as the summer show would go, which
yes, the sordid tales of the cup.
The cup loves a good
to
dunk.
Win the Stanley Cup. Well, I'll tell you what, there was one. You can go see it on YouTube. When the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup in 1967, Clarence Campbell, and he always loved vodka and orange juice, apparently, had been drinking all day long. Mm-hmm. And when he went to hand out the Stanley Cup, he was over refreshed, let's just say, and the speech is garbled, and you can barely understand what Clarence is saying as he hands the Stanley Cup over to George Armstrong. And I don't know that it's the only time, but it's probably, I mean, certainly I don't think Gary Bettman's ever done it buckled, but like it's the only time that a commissioner / president has handed the Stanley Cup over in less than sober spirit, let's just say.
We've been over refreshed here in Calgary at Stampede Week. Thanks for joining us, Marek. Thanks, appreciate it. And yeah, big pots of black coffee everywhere. Sheet, thanks, what's next? Give us the tease.
Today we got Steph Rosner, who covers the New York Islanders. So one of the more interesting teams all of a sudden, like after as soon as Lou Lamoriello moves on, all of a sudden it's become one of the most interesting and entertaining teams and intriguing teams that we've seen in the offseason. So I'm going to talk to Steph about what's next for the Islanders.
Right when the dress code goes out the window.
Yeah, mustaches. Let's go.
That's why he's actually
they were hanging on to it just for Lou, Cami. Oh my God, I never thought about that. That's
mutton
so
chops, big old wax curl. Everyone's gonna go wild. They have a new policy: only facial hair. Let's roll. Get soul patches, all the gross stuff.
Finally, Kyle Palmieri can grow his beard back. He's the one guy that looks so different without a beard. I never normally you get used to it after. I can never get used to seeing Kyle Palmieri without a beard.
It's like when small children have their dad shave their beard off for the first time and they just cry when they see them, don't recognize them.
My kids
Stranger
would do that.
danger.
We've never seen. Thanks, Jeff. Have a great one.
Have a good rest of your show, guys.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.